So let's begin with the male gamete, also known as sperm. It's produced in the seminiferous tubes of the testes located within the scrotum. The testes are composed of dense connective tissue with hundreds of internal compartments called lobules. A sperm has three sections or parts to it: the tail, midpiece, and the head. In order for sperm to swim, the tail consists of the flagellum that has a core called the axoneme. The axoneme is made up of sliding microtubules and motor and linker proteins, which enable the back and forth movement of the sperm's tail. The head has a centriole. The centriole contains 23 chromosomes, and when combined with the egg, it will have 46 chromosomes. The midpiece has a sheath of ring-shaped mitochondria needed for providing ATP to mediate the microtubule sliding. The head also comprises of acronomes, which has digestive enzymes required to break through the egg's shell right before fertilization. The success rate of couples falling pregnant is influenced by many factors, including sperm motility. It is the ability of cells called spermatozoa to move through the female reproductive tract to reach the egg. The creation of an embryo begins when a sperm is released from the testicles and goes through to the urethral opening of the penis. It would then enter the vaginal cavity and travel up to the vaginal tract to the cervical opening through a layer of mucus before entering the woman's uterus and fallopian tubes, where it may reach an egg. But if the sperm is immotile or doesn't swim, then it will not reach the matured oocyte in order to bind with it, penetrate it, and eventually fertilize it to form an embryo. Sperm that has abnormal shape or movement cannot either swim up to the egg or are unable to bind and penetrate the egg shell. The abnormalities of sperm can be caused by several factors, including excessive heat exposure to the male genitals, lack of vitamin and mineral intake, and excessive stress leading to poor sperm quality. Males can increase their sperm motility in different ways. One of the most common methods is to change lifestyle choices, such as improving one's diet with more intake of minerals and vitamins from healthy foods, as well as weight loss. If a male's sperm mobility lies at 40% or below, then the chance of a fertilized egg is lower and can result to infertility. Those who have a percentage of 50% or above are much more likely to fall pregnant.
The acrosome reaction is the fusion of the acrosome membrane with the sperm's plasma membrane, or the exocytosis of the acrosome. The acrosome is positioned close to the plasma membrane at the tip of the sperm's head. The vesicle contains soluble enzymes and the inner membrane proteins. The function of this reaction is to help the sperm get through the egg's protective coat and allow the plasma membranes of the sperm and egg to fuse. This places both haploid nuclei, one from the sperm and one from the egg, into the same cell, where they both form diploid genome of the same organism. The reaction takes place in the ampulla of the fallopian tube when the sperm penetrates the secondary oocyte. The contents of the acrosome are released outwardly and the cell membrane of the sperm fuses with the outer membrane of the acrosome. When the reaction is complete, the residues of the vesicle membrane are still partly held together by a bonding. Through the lively forward movement of these sperm cells, these are quickly left behind. Now the forward part of the head is now covered only by the former inner membrane of the acrosome. The enzymes that are released in the immediate area of the illicit zone by the acrosome reaction dissolves locally and thus creating a pathway for the sperm cell.
Implantation is the process of an embryo sinking into the lining of the uterus. This lining is known as the endometrium. This process usually occurs for 3 or 4 days within 6 or 7 days after the egg has been fertilized. When a sperm cell meets an egg cell, it forms a zygote. The zygote will then undergo multiple mitotic divisions, which collectively is known as cleavage. The zygote is now known as a blastula and contains multiple cells within it, called blastomeres. The blastula forms the blastocyst, where the cells within arrange themselves into 2 layers. The inner cell mass is called the embryoblast, and the outer cell mass is known as the trophoblast. The embryoblast will form the embryo, while the trophoblast will nourish the embryo. Gastrulation is the process of the cells of the blastula rearranging themselves to form 3 layers of cells. The blastula folds upon itself to form the 3 layers. Each layer is called a germ layer. These layers then differentiate into different organ systems. The ectoderm layer creates the nervous system and the epidermis. The mesoderm layer creates the muscle cells and connective tissue. And the endoderm layer creates cells found within the digestive system and many internal organs. Once this new embryo has made its way down the uterine tube, it begins the process of implantation into the endometrium. This occurs in 3 stages. Stage 1 is the implantation of the blastocyst on the endometrium. The blastocyst will emerge from its pellucid zone. It then comes into contact with the uterine mucosa and embeds itself into the endometrium. Stage 2 is the adhesion of the blastocyst to the endometrium. The microvilli on the surface of the trophoblast cells interact with the epithelial cells of the uterus. Once this stage has occurred, the blastocyst cannot be flushed out from the body. The trophoblast cells differentiate into 2 different cell masses before it comes into contact with the endometrium, the outer syncytotrophoblast and the inner cytotrophoblast. In stage 3, the invasion of the trophoblast and embedding, intensive mitotic activity occurs in the cytotrophoblast, while the syncytotrophoblast produces lytic enzymes to erode the wall of the capillaries within the endometrium so that the embryo is completely embedded within.